with solving some equations that need a little rearranging in order to solve them. And we're specifically going to work with equations that are quadratic equations. So if you look at our first example on slide 4, we need to first start off by making this equation equal 0. So we're going to go ahead and add 15 to both sides. Once you can add 15 to both sides, you have x squared plus 8x plus 15 equals 0. Our second step after we do that is going to be to factor. So remember, when you're factoring, we need two numbers that are going to multiply to get 15 and add to get 8. So we're going to go 3 and 5. Since this is a 1x squared trinomial, we can take these numbers that we've come up with, and those can go right into our parentheses as our factors. And now the last step to solving this is to make each one of those factors equal 0, and we'll solve it. So when x plus 3 equals 0, x is equal to negative 3. When x minus 5 equals 0, x should be an x plus 5. When x plus 5 equals 0, to solve that, you're going to go ahead and subtract 5 from both sides. X is equal to negative 5. So our solutions to that equation are negative 3 and negative 5. So now to relate that back to what we were doing with graphing, since these are solutions, these will also be the zeros. The reason they're called zeros is because that's when the equation equals 0. So if we were to graph our quadratic, one of the points on the parabola would be here, one of the points on the parabola would be there, and that's where the solutions come from. So the next one, we're going to go ahead and we're going to solve this also by factoring. We're going to rearrange, and the first thing we're going to do is subtract 15 and add 7x to both sides. Now when we're rearranging, we want to watch our order and make sure that our x squared term is first, then our x term, and then our constant term, so that when we set up to factor here, the order will matter because the order that these numbers go into the x does matter. So the 2 times the negative 15, that's negative 30, that's going to go on the top. The 7 will go at the bottom. So numbers that multiply to give you negative 30 and add to give you 7. So I'm going to go with 10 and 3. One of those has to be negative to get a negative 30, so 10 minus 3. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to solve this by using the grouping method. If some of you use slide and divide, go ahead and you can use slide and divide. You're still going to come up with the same answer. So my common factor here is 2x. My common factor here is negative 3 and negative 5. So my first factor here is 2x minus 3. When I divide either one of these, I'm just going to look at this. When I divide this one by negative 3, I'm left with x plus 5. So that's my next factor. We're going to make each one of these equal to 0. X plus 5 equals 0. So I'm going to subtract 5 from each side. And then the 2x minus 3 equals 0. So we're going to add 3, divide by 2. We're just going to leave our answer as a fraction. There's no need to change that to a decimal. We're just going to leave this as 3 over 2. Okay, last type. So we're going to go ahead and we're also going to solve this by factoring. We're going to make it equal 0 first. So we're going to subtract 2n from both sides. Okay. We're going to factor. Now this isn't a trinomial. Please remember that the first rule of factoring really is to take out the greatest common factor. And the greatest common factor here is n. So that's one of the factors. And then when I divide that expression by n, I get 5n minus 2. So I don't have to do any other factoring. But I am going to make each one of those factors equal 0. The first one is easy. It's just n equals 0. Second one, 5n minus 2 equals 0. I'm going to add 2. And I'm going to divide by 5. So n equals 2 over 5. All right. So what you're going to do, remember you can go back and you can watch any of these examples at any time if you need a little bit more practice before you try some on your own. But you're going to go ahead and do the your turn on the next couple slides. Remember to type in the green boxes that are on there so that you can get your answer checked. All of those should be filled in. You should have work for all of these in order to earn your points. Just go through, do those next couple slides, and then on slide 10, it's going to give you a link to a quizzes that you're going to go ahead and do, and you're going for 80% or better. That'll be something that you're getting checked in as well. Hope you guys have a great day.